Hey, this is Barry Rapkin with Identified Technologies. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to go over what the true value of drone mapping is. The agenda for today's webinar is we'll go through the basics that everybody should know about drones, how drones are benefiting your specific industry, and what the true value of drone mapping is. So we'll start off with the basics. It's the past and present of drones. And given that RC planes and helicopters are decades old, why is there suddenly such a massive interest? Why didn't it come sooner? Well, the reason is this was the common remote control helicopter or plane user experience for several decades. If you ever played with a toy plane in the 80s, might have been made of cheap plastic or even paper or balsa wood. You could kind of fly it around for a few minutes, maybe a few hours if you're lucky, but it's just a toy. As soon as it catches a little bit of wind, it's going to flip, have a hard landing, and be done. And it wasn't a reliable, consistent piece of equipment. It was a toy. It was not a tool. So what changed? Why is there this sudden, massive interest in drones that we see today? Well, it's a combination of government and private sector innovation. We have flight controllers from NASA, GPS from US Navy, which used to be massive machines and now are so small most of us have them in our smartphones. We have miniaturized sensors like accelerometers and gyroscopes also in phones. If anyone has a Nintendo Wii, you'll see it in the wand, which is what lets you control the tennis racket when you swing your arm in Wii Sports. We have high quality digital cameras and visual sensors that are not only small, compact, and light, but also very energy efficient. And all of that combined with strides in model aircrafts and improvements in battery life combine to make the modern drone as we know it today a fully autonomous machine that can be very reliable, very accurate, and a true tool, not just a toy. A common question we get is, all right, I want a drone. What's the right kind? And the real answer is it depends exactly what you want to do with it. You can spend from hundreds of dollars for a toy drone to hundreds of millions of dollars for a military drone and everything in between. And it's all about what you're trying to achieve. There's no perfect drone. It's all about finding the right drone for your needs. That can be a $100 million Global Hawk from Northrop Grumman that weighs 32,000 pounds, or if you just want to snap some photos and capture a little video, a Phantom Vision from DJI is perfect. DJI is a great brand, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about finding the right drone for your application. We're seeing early use of drones for things like real estate, sports, movies, and TV commercials, and companies like Amazon are even experimenting with them for delivery. Basically, any shot that before you would have only been able to get with a helicopter, a plane to get that aerial view, now you're able to get it much more affordably without having to pay for a pilot, for gas, for a massive vehicle, and but you can still get that angle in that shot. So how are drones benefiting your specific industry? Well, if you're in mining, you can use drones for things like stockpile management, inventory tracking to make sure you're not missing out on sales opportunities or overcommitting yourself. You can use it for mine planning and tracking earth moving. Same for construction, any kind of earth moving, volumetrics. For oil and gas, it can be used for things like well pads, impoundment ponds, pipeline tracking, earth moving, right of ways, agriculture, general crop health, and what areas need more or less fertilizer, more or less water, pest control. It can be used for landfills to make sure that cells are used optimally with no wasted opportunity and that everything has been brought to the maximum density. So again, you're making the best use of the space possible. And for things like mapping, surveying, and engineering, to offer your clients aerial surveys to differentiate yourself competitively, to increase the productivity of your team, and to benefit from the rework that comes from the initial aerial surveys. So what we're really here for is to help on all those different industries and help keep projects from going late and over budget. The reason that so many projects go late and over budget is because every day project managers are asked to do the impossible. They go to war with a mountain of paperwork and try to communicate with their contractors, their leadership, their customers, while still trying to maintain perfect visibility to every change on every massive job site simultaneously. It's an impossible job. No one can be three places at once. Unfortunately, something has to give. Managers are often expected to keep track of these massive, sometimes hundreds or even thousands of acre sites with these rapidly changing things. And largely, sites are still managed the same way today that they were 20 years ago. Construction is done off of rolled up paper blueprints. Managers walk the site with clipboards, taking notes and photos. And all stakeholders have to actually come out, even if it's across the country or across the world, and physically visit the job site to check progress. And unfortunately, aerial overhead data is only rarely captured due to the massive costs and delays. What this leads to, unfortunately, is several negative things because it's impossible to make fast, informed decisions without consistent site visibility. Doesn't matter who you are or how good you are, can't be done. This leads to inefficiency because expensive contractors and rental equipment often go unused due to bottlenecks that could have been prevented. It leads to project delays while you're waiting for customers to get out to the site to approve portions of work and release funds for the next section. It leads to low profits because when projects go over budget, it comes directly out of the construction company's profits. And unfortunately, it can lead to lost customers. Customers who experience disappointments on their projects may not use you again, may stop mid project, or in some cases may even file lawsuits. A lot of the companies we serve have been working with the same clients for years, even decades. And unfortunately, one job gone south can ruin all that reputation and all that trust. So it's really, really important that we're consistently protecting and maintaining those relationships. What mapping drones offer is job site visibility. It's accurate. It's automatic. You can literally map your job site at the push of a button. You get the data back in near real time. You're not waiting months. You're not waiting weeks. In most cases, you can survey the job site in minutes, have the data back fully processed and ready to work with within a few hours, and it's completely secure. So, who are we? Who is Identified Technologies? We offer a fully managed, integrated commercial drone solution that improves job site transparency and profitability. We're trusted by industrial leaders in energy, excavation, mining, engineering, and solid waste. We offer it because outdated methods are slow, inaccurate, dangerous, and costly. We offer world's only automatic EDAS that's end-to-end drone as a service. And we're headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and serving clients around the world. Some of those clients include ENR 400 companies like Kokosing, Seneca Resources, PJ Dick, Mascara Construction, Americol, EQT, and most recently, Casella and Carmuse. We've been featured by TEDx, Inc., CNN, South by Southwest, TechCrunch, NBC, and within the last few months, Forbes, New York Times, and Huffington Post. And if you're interested, you can go to our website, identifiedtech.com, and click on our news section to see more of our recent coverage. We're approved IS Net World contractors. We have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. We have a complete $5 million general liability insurance policy. And we're the fastest growing drone company on the East Coast. People tend to underestimate what drones are capable of. Most people know that you can fly them, that you can capture photos, that you can capture video. But what most people don't realize is that you can actually automate advanced surveying and mapping. Things like 3D volumetric analysis, as you see in the first one. You can track either individual stockpiles or entire regions simultaneously. We offer contour mapping, orthomosaic overlays, and as-built versus as-planned blueprint overlays, so you can compare how the initial blueprint designs were versus how the job's actually being done. And if there are any inconsistencies or irregularities, catch them early. You can monitor progress reports, heat map cut and fill tracking, uh, not only track where you are today, but where you were, what your rate of progress is, what your real cost per yard is, what your real trends are, and what time you're on track to finish the project. So if you're running late, you can get ahead of it and do something about it. And you can securely share your data and export it in all major file formats. So how are we different than alternatives? Well, there's only a few ways to collect this data. You can use aerial survey with a helicopter or a plane. You can use a manned survey team, or you can use a subscription drone service. With an aerial survey, they're usually $15,000 to $20,000 per flight. It can take a few weeks to book it. Once they're actually on the site, they'll be able to capture the data, usually in a few hours. But then there's some processing time. And usually you're looking at around 15 grand and delivery time of maybe 8 to 12 weeks. With a manned survey team, it's about $1,000 a day for a team of two, and it might take 20 business days to cover a difficult site like that. Um, the booking is faster, but then you're looking at about a month to capture the data when you factor in weekends. And then it takes time to process that data down, still looking at almost 2 months. And by the time you get that data back, if it's a fast moving job site, the job site's changed. So that data that they gathered 2 months ago is no longer accurate. But with identified technologies, you can update monthly, weekly, daily, even hourly. You have unlimited updates with a low cost monthly subscription. There's no booking lead time. It's completely on demand. The drone lives on your job site. You can use it whenever you want, however you want. Think of us less like a maid or cleaning service and more like a Roomba that you can use, and it will just take care of the job for you whenever you want. And to do a 100-acre site takes minutes, maybe 9, 10 minutes. We'll have that data processed in a few hours. And that means if you fly that morning, you're actually able to look at the real uh, job site data before you leave the office. There's another option, which is besides standard aerial surveying, besides manned survey teams, and besides us, you can do it yourself. If you want to go that route, there's a few things you should know in terms of what is going to be required of you. So you'll have to take care of FAA regulations, following all the requirements, all the required licensing, and all the paperwork. You need to actually find, train, and manage drone pilots. You'll need to choose software and hardware for the drone, for flight planning, for processing, for data storage, management, and secure sharing. And if there's any issues, you'll need to sort of sort it out so you don't have one company pointing fingers at the other. You'll need to either assume the risk of the work or get insurance for it, and likewise deal with insurance or replacement costs for drones, which might be $50,000 or $100,000 if they crash, even if no one's injured. You also need to keep updating the drones as they get obsolete. With a standard drone mapping process, you'll need a KML with the map perimeter. You have to lay ground control points, create and upload your flight plan. You'll fly the drone, geotag the data, transfer the data, process the data, store and manage the data, and then finally, you are ready to analyze and collaborate with your team. With identified technologies, we've tried to cut out as many steps as possible and just get right down to it. So with us, you upload your flight plan, you push a button, and the drone automatically takes itself off, flies the job site in a lawnmower pattern, capturing all the data, comes back, lands itself. The data is uploaded and processed, and then you can access and analyze that job site. So just getting you right to the data and right to tracking your progress and optimizing profitability. So that takes us to our main focus for this webinar, which is what is the true value of drone mapping? Every industrial company struggles to avoid inaccurate and outdated job site mapping data. Bad data can lead to project delays, bottlenecks, and cost overruns. Managers know that mapping drones give them continuous job site visibility and tracking, allowing them to make better informed decisions in near real time. And there's three big pillars that drone mapping can help with: productivity tracking and optimization, quality control, and stakeholder collaboration and client retention. Drones provide value in many different use cases, but for this guide, we want to really focus on those big pillars that help both increase revenue and decrease costs. For productivity tracking and optimization, let's compare it to traditional manned aircraft or ground survey. Using drone mapping, you can accurately check inventory. It's extremely safe because you don't actually have someone marching around the job site dodging power tools. It can be all done from a safe location. Um, our drone's only about a foot by a foot. It's a few pounds, so it's not a massive piece of equipment. You can track volumetric earthwork, do cut and fill progress, which helps you minimize labor and rental costs and really improve your productivity per worker. You can decrease contractor costs, decrease data collection time, and the need for third-party data gathering and processing, and the need for third-party secure data storage and management. Accurately estimate the time needed for contractors and equipment rentals. You can compare costs per equipment rental units for progress for contractors by site. So see how different pieces of equipment are working for you, see how different contractors are working for you, and compare what your real ROI is. You can also compare the pace of progress on different job sites, and all that lets you complete projects faster, resulting in more revenue. Because if you finish 12 projects this year, and next year you can finish 13 of the same style projects, it's more money in your pocket. This was a quote from Josh McLaughlin, who's the GISP manager for Seneca Resources. We did some work with them mapping impoundment ponds to confirm volumes. Josh said, "We've never seen anything like this. My team and I were amazed by the speed of the boomerang system, and the accuracy proved to be more than adequate for our needs. Cutting our survey time down to just a few minutes while maintaining sub-centimeter mapping precision is a game changer." And if you want to learn more about Seneca Resources and the work we're doing with them, if you go to Identified Technologies, it's identifiedtech.com, you can watch the video at the top. Besides energy, we recently did a job helping Kokosing in a massive excavation project. They were cutting through Kentucky mountainside for a new highway, and that required both precise measurement and an accurate estimate of the amount of stone being removed. Unfortunately, treacherous terrain made for a dangerous job site there. And when the Kentucky Department of Transportation selected Kokosing for a pair of sites for a new highway in Pike County, the contractor turned to Identified Technologies in our boomerang system. We were able to use a single drone to survey two separate 1,000-acre sites in just a few hours. They cut over $100,000 in project costs using the boomerang system for savings of 86% compared to traditional surveying alternatives. And their head surveyor, Bill Clifford, said, "Without updated mapping data, when we stockpile aggregate, we normally just have to guess at what the actual volume is, not knowing if the ground underneath is truly level. With the updated topographical maps that the boomerang system provided, we knew exactly what our rock volumes were." So the next big pillar for what drone mapping offers is quality control. So besides the productivity benefits, you can get up-to-date maps from the start until the finish of projects. You can compare visual updates of as-built versus ad-plan blueprints to avoid misunderstandings. Digital job site documentation to minimize liability, both for the present and for the future. You can provide architects with site context so they can design with the the whole area in mind and get better results. You can minimize safety risks to employees on job sites. You can improve record keeping for future reference, retain more clients with improved transparency, communication, and speed. This also reduces approval time from stakeholders. You don't necessarily have to wait for them to come out. You can actually bring the real-time updated job site to them to show that it's all been done as planned. And as we discussed, site risk prevention and response to decrease safety risks and make sure if anything does happen, you can handle it quickly and appropriately. Bill Clifford said, identified technologies boomerang system worked great. We had our data back faster than expected, and the peace of mind we had knowing our data was current and our project was on track was invaluable. The combination of precision, 200 times faster speed, reduced cost, and increased safety checked every box for us. And again, that's Bill Clifford, the head surveyor of Kokosin Construction. And the last big pillar of how drone mapping is useful across industries is stakeholder communication and collaboration. Using an aerial mapping drone impacts your bottom line in every client interaction. The ability to communicate project updates in near real time with stakeholders lets you instantly reveal and solve any site misunderstandings or problems before it's too late. You can react in days or hours instead of months. You can retain clients by helping them better understand your progress and results. You can attract new clients by showing them aerial examples of past similar projects, not just telling them, oh yeah, we've done work like that, but actually showing them, putting it right before their eyes. You can differentiate yourself from your competition through your technology leadership. You save clients travel time by bringing the data to them, and your clients will appreciate the speed and quality that you can offer them through drone mapping. John Mackin at Mascaro Construction told us, we initially had outdated topographical maps when we budgeted for earthwork on a job site. Our estimates were 20% off in the wrong direction, and we were the ones that had to absorb that risk and error. I wish we had identified technology's data before we started. He said the boomerang system is a great tool for quality control and measuring cut and fills. You can quickly capture and share permanent records and avoid quantity and cost discrepancies with clients. And I'm going to repeat that again because it's so important. You can quickly capture and share permanent records and avoid quantity and cost discrepancies with clients. It's especially valuable for large areas that might be hard for an individual to access, such as elevated areas or difficult terrain. Again, this is John Mackin, a project manager at Mascaro Construction. And having those records gives you something. So if there is a disagreement, you can go back and have hard evidence to show the facts. It's so much better than just pointing fingers or your word against theirs. Bentley Development was established in 1971 as a mining contractor, but over 40 years later, they now perform a combination of mining, landfill construction, and commercial site development. And Phil Schumacher, their vice president of operations, said, the boomerang system is a tremendous marketing tool for us. We work for some big companies where the VP doesn't get out to the site very often. The ability to show potential clients before and after 3D graphics of our work gives them more confidence than describing it on a conference call ever could. Now, we're not just asking them to take our word for it. We're bringing the real project right to them. And just so you understand sort of what it looks like to work with us, I'm going to just take you real quickly through the onboarding process. So we'd start out by learning more about your needs, helping train your team, getting them ready for the Part 107, which we have a 100% pass rate with, get you flying, make sure you understand how to use the data, and all the screenshots you saw of the analysis is straight out of our SiteIQ software, and make sure that everyone in your Office is getting as much value out of the tool as possible, that there's no stoppers. And if you have any tech support or strategic questions, that we can help you. Starts off with an initial conversation with our customer success manager to understand your needs, your concerns, what you're trying to achieve with drone mapping. You have best in class support available constantly for anything you need. You'll have access to the website. So besides that in-person work, if you just want to reference resources on new features or how to use the tools, it's all there. And there's also quarterly meetings just to make sure that you know about our newest breakthrough technology to address any issues and make sure that your needs are being fully met. And if you have any requests, that we know about them and can relay them to our product team. So, what is the true value of drone mapping? You can win more bids, you can track and increase profitability, improve quality assurance, and increase client satisfaction and retention. With that, I want to thank you very, very much for joining me today for this webinar on the true value of drone mapping. I hope you found it helpful and informative. And please reach out to identifiedtech.com if you'd like to see a demo of our software, ask questions, or see other case studies, white papers, or training resources. Thank you and have a great week ahead.